Happy Wednesday, everyone. I cannot believe it's the middle of May already. We are here on the Elevate series with my friend Darryll Stinson, former Division One athlete turned best-selling author, TEDx coach. His TEDx speeches have more than 2 million views, is what I saw. D, like incredible. Darryll speaks on every stage that I create. He is my friend. His wife is amazing. Just had her own TEDx experience. So shout out to Brittany for her work in the world.
Nailed it
And I
too.
want to tune in and listen to this one because Darryll has a really interesting vantage point based on all of the stages that he's on and all of the communities that he's in. So I've asked him to please come into the show and really talk about his experience, what he's seeing. So Darryll, thanks, my man. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to dive in with you. I've been tapping into some of the other series. I listened to 2 this morning, and I just think it's such a relevant conversation for people. Like, everyone who I've told about it, they just been like, yo, such a timely thing. They're doing some of their own stuff that's similar. They're like, you got to tap in with this that we're doing. Like, so many people are responding to the times in this way. And I think that's key. And that's a great place to start of like, what am I noticing? What am I seeing? Is like partnership, collaboration.
That's a big one.
I've heard the theme of relationships being super important. And so, I cannot underestimate that enough. Like, I'll give you something. Is this okay? Like, I'm super
Bring it.
ready. So like, intentionality is a principle that cannot be violated, right? When you violate the principle of intentionality, things start to organically drift into a form of chaos. Like, think about, like, even as something as simple as a garden. Like, the moment you stop being intentional about watering it, about making sure it's getting the sunlight, make sure you pull out the weeds, make sure you protect it, like, it's going to start to drift towards overgrowing, like bugs everywhere. It's going to get out of control. The same is true in our relationships. And typically, what I find to be true, Amber, is that we tend to take some of our most valuable relationships for the most granted. And I don't mean that like in our hearts, I mean that in our time, in our energy, in our space. It's like something that recently really shifted for me is when I looked, and I told you this, I think, in person, of like, I actually made 3 degrees of relationships, and I looked at my inner circle, sort of my outer circle, and then like my outer circle. All right. And so in my inner circle, I had 3 to 12 people in there. Okay. I was going different versions. The first version was 12. Now it's 3.
Hmm.
3 people in the inner, 12 in the outer, 72 in the outer. Okay.
Wow.
And I'm looking at the 3 and I'm going, okay, like, how do I spend more time, more energy, more effort? Like, how do I go deeper with fewer? How do I do more with less? And really support and nurture these people. And by the way, you're on my 3. And there's
Yeah.
an
Oh,
intentionality there,
girl, you're
because
freaking out
again,
right now.
that doesn't mean like, I just want to say something there, because it doesn't mean like you are one of my favorites, but it's not that type of thing. It's just me being intentional with my relationships. It's no different than finances, in the sense that there's things that get your priority in this season, things that are not. Like, there's seasons where you were not in my 3. I still loved
Yeah.
you equally. We
Yeah.
just spent
Totally.
time in differently. And so I think people kind of like really just think about that. Like, just imagine if someone were to do that right now. If you were to take relationships and you go like, who's in my 3? And then now that they're my 3, what separates what I'm doing, how I'm interacting with them, from my 12? That level of intentionality creates that level of uh, effectiveness. Let me just say it that way.
Absolutely.
Okay. It just, you get more out of your time and energy that you spend in relationships because you have more of an intentional focus. Okay. And by the way, part of that intentional does require openness. I get that, Amber. Like, we can have this conversation and not know where it's going to ebb and flow. So I'm not telling people to like make every relationship bend to what you want it to be. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like prioritize how you're showing up and be intentional about what you're looking to cultivate and grow. Like, do we want this plant to grow here? Do we want to prune a bud and duplicate it over here? Like, how do we want to actually manage it? And I think that's how we actually get the most out of our relationships, not just by growing list, but by doing more with what we have.
I love that as an opening. You know, I do, right? I'm a relationships person. The in person event that we just had in Texas was all about aligned partnerships. So,
Mhm,
Darryl, you did a great job speaking on the stage. God, I love watching you speak.
mhm,
Um, but I think, especially now in an uncertain environment, you know, Dr. Ben was even talking about this on Monday of like traditional
mhm,
marketing practice isn't working, you know, because everybody's going into digital land and he's taking to the street and he's like, no, I'm going to build meaningful relationships in my local community and I'm going to partner with people and grow my practice that way. And Jen Gaudet said, you know, something very, very similar, that it's really back to your network that this is the way forward. And I don't disagree. And something I've also, I was just talking about this in my membership. I have a small membership called Infinite Impact based on the book. And it's really for authors, even at the time of getting into alignment or writing their book, publishing it, and so on and so forth.
mhm,
And in that group coaching twice a month, I was in there today and I was saying that when I first started my business, I noticed a community shift about every 3 years.
mhm,
And now I notice a community shift almost every 7 months.
mm,
And when I really track back the seasons of relationships that I've had, and some are very steady.
mhm,
Part of it too is that my work is designed to help you be more self sufficient in the world. So you're supposed to kind of go off and do your thing.
mhm,
But what I also tracked is that it shifts based on my own personal evolution.
mhm,
So the faster that I'm personally developing and growing, I'm attracting in people that match that frequency. So I've noticed in the last 5 years, Darryl, that I'm just accelerating like crazy. And I've noticed the same thing in you. And that's why
mhm,
we're like so in sync right now, because we're not messing around.
mhm,
Like we're here to create the future of humanity. So with that,
mhm,
what are you seeing that's happening in the world right now through your lens, your conversations? And then I want to shift into what
mhm.
we think it could create into.
I will preface this with saying, like, we tend to see the world through our own genius, our own perspective, like it is very much my perspective. That's why I like the series because you get to hear from different worldviews, right?
Amazing.
Um,
Yep. Love it.
so for me, you know what I noticed? I a big chart about 5 to 6 years of me speaking. I was also like a staff pastor at a church. And it was always the thing that I, like, never wanted my corporate audiences to hear about because it'd be like they think I'm gonna go preach on their stage, which I'm not. They'll be worried that I'm gonna be, like, overly religious and force my faith down their audience throats, which I wasn't. And that was a very hard thing because I was very active and vocal about my faith on my socials because I worked at the church. I was always like, "Come here," and it was all, like, all this language. Now I'm noticing, and then let me add this to it. And there was also this overtone of like people were getting increasingly tired of motivational speakers. It's like 10 years ago, 12 years ago when I first started, if you were a motivational speaker, that was a very noble title. It was like the trend started to become like, no, it's all about the problem that you solve. Like, what's your
Mm,
niche as a speaker? What's your topic and thought leadership? It wasn't like we don't want motivational, we want practical tips and tangible takeaways. That wasn't like the main conversation 12 years ago. It's starting to shift slowly, not rapidly, like the change of like AI, but slowly there's this undertone of like, no, actually, we're more open to the spiritual conversation. And actually, we want some motivation, some inspiration, because we've got enough strategies and meetings and tools and tactics. We just need some juice. We need a shot of a dose of energy. and we
Totally.
need you to come and facilitate that for our meeting. And so I say that because like it was a big thing. Like, no,
Wow.
articulate the problem you solve. And now I say, like, yeah, articulate the problem you solve with some inertia and some energy underneath it. Because now we don't want to just know that you can solve a problem. We want to know that you can move us to action to implement what you tell us to solve.
How do you bring the energy all the time? Like, Darryll, you are one of the most energetic people I've ever met in my life. And I love that about you. I love that Brennan Burchard says the power plant doesn't have energy, it generates energy. I have to ask, like, what do you do to make yourself so big and loving in the world? No matter what is going on, you always bring it. How do you do that?
I gotta get my wireless headset back with it allows me to move. I feel like I want to move to demonstrate this because energy is very much a game of alignment. Alignment and expression, if I had to add another word. And what I mean by that is you got to figure out what's blocking your energetic flow. Okay. And so for me personally, like imagine if I just like right now, me not having a microphone that allows me to move is blocking my energetic flow right now. Like I want to do something that I'm not able or willing to do right now because I don't have that thing. It's in the way. I'm just using a very practical example for life and energy to answer your question. And so in my life, if I feel restricted, the question I ask myself is, why do I feel restricted? Why? Okay. If I feel resistance, why do I feel resistance? If I go to record content, why do I feel hesitant? If I go to write copy for my website, why does it feel like it's a mountain that I got to climb instead of like a mountain I get to ride a sled down? Like, why does it feel like when I talk to this person on my team, it's like, oh, I got to do all this extra thinking and verbal processing. But when I talk to this person on my team, I can just pick up the phone and we flow like butter. Like, where's the restriction of my energy happening? And then what I do is I face it. I just face it. I resolve it. I move it forward. I have the conversation. I say what's difficult. I make the time and space to feel more of the thing. And now because of that, there's not a restriction in my energy. And so those are some very specific things that I do in order to stay in this high energy. It's so funny because even before I speak, it's one of the we talk about pre-speech rituals all the time. And there's always like this mantra you say to yourself, this thinking about the audience. I do all of that. But I think the pre-speech ritual is like cleaning up the loose ends of my life. Like if I have a relational conflict with my wife that's open and unresolved, and I'm getting up there to tell people about self-care, in the back of my mind, there's like 7% of me that's still energetically in this other unopened, unresolved thing with my wife. You with me so far?
Not totally.
So my pre-speech ritual is like resolving those things so that when I get here, that 7% is more available in real time. Okay. You can say the same thing. We want to go real deep about your physical instrument. I didn't mean to go this deep, but you do this to me. But we heard that I've heard almost everybody that you've brought on say something about physical health and the importance of that.
It's crucial.
Okay. So my line of communication and bringing energy on stage, your physical body has to be ready for it. Number one, it's hot. The lights are on you. Number two, you're trying to get everybody up and they're feeding off your energy. So you're the container. It's like you're the workout instructor. You ever been to a group workout class? The instructor that's like that's you on the stage as a person who's the thought leader. It's like, so you're the container. So you can imagine if the instructor of the workout was like, come on, y'all can do it. Y'all can do it. It'd be like, nobody would be doing it, but they got to stay pumped and high energy the whole time. And if they really beastie, you got trainers who's doing the workout with you while leading you through it, and they don't even look tired, which makes you feel worse because they're not even breathing hard and they're yelling at you and they're doing it. And you know they got done this like 3 times today. So you're
Jillian
really
Michael.
pushing yourself because
Yeah.
you're like, if they've done 3 workouts, then I. Same thing. Same thing. So physically, you got to be able to be the container for the stage. You got to have enough energy, stamina, conditioning to hold people at the frequency of their evolution. And that requires literal consistency in what you're eating, what you're putting into your body, and how you're moving your body every day. And everybody has echoed it that you don't have to be a Division 1 athlete like I was, that you don't have to be somebody who is running ultra marathons or doing tough mutters. You just got to stack consistency and move your body and get all that emotion to funnel through so you can have more sensitivity to your nudges, to your heart, to your gut, more connectedness and groundedness to your grit. And that is important for you to have enough energy, not just to bring on stage, but to lead in life.
You are like a walking sound bite.
Sorry.
There's no, are you joking me? You're
Yeah.
like nothing but wisdom. And it
Mhm.
is because you are in alignment, you
Mhm.
are fully self-expressed,
Mhm.
you have so much self-trust and
Mhm.
self-love and faith.
Yeah.
You are hyper present
Yeah.
and you know what your body needs in order to show up fully for each moment.
Yeah.
And especially
Mhm.
now, in a moment where pressure is high, and relationship tension is high, there's a
Mhm.
lot going on energetically. This
Mhm.
is the time to lean in and do the things that you wouldn't normally do. You know, you'd get off of work and say like, "Oh, I don't really want to take a walk. I'll just watch Netflix instead." You can't make
Mhm.
those decisions right now. You've got to
Mhm.
get off of work, and even when you don't want to, go take a bike ride because your body
Mhm.
needs that in order to sustain the amount of pressure that's going on, but to also recover.
Yeah.
So I do want to, share that on Thursday, tomorrow, we're going to be talking with Dr. Rain Williamson.
Mhm.
For those of you who are new, board certified neurologist coming in to talk about intervention and repair so
Mhm.
that you can, withstand some of that pressure.
Yeah.
Darryll, I'm curious, based on everything that's shifting around in your industry and for you personally and your business, like what are some of the things that you're doing now that maybe you weren't even doing 3 to 6 months ago? Like based on where you think humanity is going or where your industry is going, what are some of these small or large shifts that you've made personally or that
Mhm.
your clients have been making that you've observed in terms of like just adapting and moving forward?
Times change, principles don't. So I lean in heavier to principles when times are changing. And so this is gonna sound I was actually talking to David Meltzer about this, and he of course got excited. But most people don't get excited about this because we want something. We want, as a communicator, you notice what you want to know something I notice is that when I say something that sounds really deep or complex, people ooh and they awe and they take notes. When I say some of the most simple, effective things that don't have like rhyme or rhythm to them or cadence or like they're not a tweetable statement or a soundbite, like you said, they don't value it as much. it's like it's like nobody wants carrots; they want chocolate covered carrots. And so this is going to sound like a carrot, and I've been leaning
I
back to
love
the
this guy.
basics. I've been leaning
Yeah,
back to the basics, Amber. So you're like
same,
asking
same.
me, it's like it's gonna sound so simple. My calendar, like one of the things I did for my clients and that I did for myself is I have a what I call divine. There's two calendars I live by. There's this foundational flow, and then there's this divine design calendar. Okay. Foundational flow is sort of just basic. Like if I'm extra overwhelmed and I just need to like get my bearings again and get back in a rhythm where I feel like I got space and I'm not like trying to drown,
Mm,
I get back to this foundational flow. It is a standard way of managing my time and my calendar and setting it up so that I can stay in optimal flow. Okay. And it usually works for most people in their energy cycles. Now, the divine design flow now takes your vision for your life in all areas, your faith, your family, your finances, fitness, your friendships. It takes your vision for your life in all those areas and your energetic cycles that are natural to you. If you're a nighttime person versus a morning person, if you're all on versus all off, if you like this, it takes those two things and then it readjusts it and customizes that calendar for you. Okay. And I live by both of those because sometimes I'm in divine design and it's like super quantum momentum. I can't lose. It's like I don't miss a shot. I go to a conference, I attract a client, I get on a call, it's magic happening. It's exactly what I'm supposed to talk to and me. I'm like butter on the stage. Everything's amazing. I can't say any wrong words. And then I get out of that divine design flow and over busy and struggle to manage the growth and opportunity and connection. And then sometimes I got to just get back in basic flow or rhythm so that I'm not embarrassing myself, losing opportunities, not able to fulfill on my promises, under
Mhm.
fulfilling for the things that I have promised, like all those types of things. It just keeps me in enough of like the forward movement sync with life that I feel like I can still do my work on earth in a very effective, optimal way. And as woo as that sounds, it's very practical. Like I almost want to share a screen. Like it's a Google Calendar that has about 24 hours of work and another 10 to 12 for physical, emotional self-care space, and then 72 hours for your family, for margin, for all this other stuff. Okay. Um, and by the way, that also includes 8 hours of sleep on a standard sleeping schedule. Okay. So it's like there's plenty of time. My point is to do all the things that need to be done. So I've been going back to like how am I managing my time? Who am I spending my time with? In which ways? When I sit down to work, do I have my links, my notes, my can I execute and not think about executing?
Yes, yes, yes. Same. Yes.
Yeah, because I will. I'm a master strategist. So I'm like, huh. Okay. So that's why thinking time is built into this system, by the way.
Yeah, you gotta protect your thinking time. So, I mean, just
Yeah.
noticing the loop back to intentionality.
It
It's
is.
really just the theme of this entire session, which is really important because, your mind has a tendency to get hysterical in an
Mhm,
environment like this. You can't even process all of the change that has
mhm,
just occurred,
mhm,
inside of yourself, inside of your home, inside of your business, inside of
mhm,
the world just
mhm,
in the last 60 to 90 days. It's
mhm,
nearly impossible. And your brain is saying threat, 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 get hysterical. The sky is falling. And
mhm,
that when you're operating from that place, you're not being intentional about the next thing. You're like scattered thinking short term, long term. How do I serve this person? How do I fix this relationship? And you're pulled in every different direction. Meanwhile, your garden is growing weeds. So I give that a chocolate covered carrot with white sprinkles on top. That's what I
mm,
give the nugget
mm,
you just dropped. So thank you for
mm.
that. Where do you think we're headed with all of this? I mean, you've watched the series, you've seen some of the stats around AI, especially. Do you feel any pressure at all as a speaker or in your industry? Does it feel like I'm not going anywhere? Nothing's really changing for me. I know when COVID happened in 2020, it really rocked the speaker community more than anything that I've seen in my life.
Mhm.
This is a different season with different types of pressures, but where do you think all of this is headed? Where do you think the opportunity is?
My exact reaction was, "This is what I many of us have been waiting for."
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, it's getting to the actual conversations. It's getting all the bull crap out. Like, this advance in technology is putting more pressure on our humanness and ability to connect,
Yeah.
and then also our spirituality and our connection with God, the divine, and our ability to be in the frequency of love, man. Like, I don't know why language sometimes can be so limiting because we use certain vernacular to describe what we believe in, and it's like we think that we are separate and we're actually more alike than we are different. And so I think like where we're headed is back to our humanity and connection. Where we're headed is back to our spirituality and ability to actually act like that's a part of the equation. you know, that's where we're headed because ChatGPT is taking all the other stuff. AI is taking all the other stuff. And now the only thing that there's left for us to do is connect as humans. Is to bring our unique gifts and light to this world, so that these tools and other things can be our executors on this planet. So, I think for me, I think the industry's finally like allowing me to do my thing. I don't feel at all like I have to be all these different versions of myself in order to get booked on stages. I feel like people know that I have a spiritual undertone. They trust my ability as a communicator to articulate that in a professional manner to their environment in a way that produces transformation. And I think that's the future. I think the future of communication is going to be the people that can describe the abstract nature of their work, not just strategically what you should do, not just tactically what you need to do, but abstractly what's in the way of you doing those things effectively. Okay, this is what your alignment process, Amber, is doing for people in your book launch process. This is what some of that courage to course correct is doing in your book for people. And you're noticing coaches, thought leaders, like they're teaching people how to get out of their way, teaching them how to connect with their bodies. Like that's all built in now to these traditionally just service-based only businesses. And I
Mhm.
think that trend is going to continue to move forward in that direction.
That's great news for me to hear. You're right. Like, I've been waiting for this. I know you have too.
Totally.
And, the way that you articulated that in the beginning got me to think that AI is taking away the doing
Hmm.
from us,
Hmm.
and that will help shift us back into the being,
Hmm.
that presence. And
Hmm.
that's just an interesting, yeah, way of articulating it.
Hmm.
Well, listen, I know that I only had 30 minutes with you. So there's so much wisdom inside of you. I mean, thank goodness, like I'm in your three right now. I'm going to be really intentional about staying within your three, building toward the future. I'm so grateful that you're coming to the in-person summit in September in Boulder, Colorado. So if you want more Darryll time and to really be intentional about being in his community and gleaning his wisdom, you're going to want to come to the summit with us. But Darryll, anything else that's on your heart to share with humanity in this moment? I know I don't even have to say anything more than that because you'll just tap in and know what's right for you to share.
This is the way. You know, if you're watching this, this is the way. You're supposed to be connected to us. You are a leader. You're growing yourself. You're being open minded. You're listening to outside perspectives. You're humble enough to still tap in and be taught. You're probably teaching and mentoring and pouring out everywhere in your life. And we need to lock arms. And this is how we do it. And so I think my like sort of like off ramp words are like, this is the way. Lean in, connect with tribes, be able to move in and out of multiple environments while remaining yourself. Like, this is the way. This is the way.
Perfect ending, of course.
Mhm.
Love you, Dee. Thank you
Love
so
you
much
too.
for your time. Appreciate everybody for watching. Please
Yeah.
share. Like, please share. Most people do not have access to network like this, to conversations like this, to
Hmm.
predictions like this.
Hmm.
So please share this on your social feed, put it in your email newsletter list, get it out the
Totally.
best that you possibly can. We're here for you. And we'll see you tomorrow on the Elevate series. Thanks, everyone.